My name is Jason Watson with WCG. I'm one of the partners here, and in this podcast, we're going to talk about life at WCG. I have some questions that are canned, but we definitely don't have any canned answers. So, introductions. Jason Schneider.
Jason Schneider, managing partner at WCG.
Awesome. Megan
Oeltjenbruns. I'm a tax manager at WCG.
Awesome. And what these two have in common is you guys are both new to WCG. We've been in existence for 12, 13 years, and you guys have collectively been here under a year. So, Jason, you spent some other time at some other firms. You had your own firm for a while.
Yeah.
How was the transition to WCG?
It was. You're
still transitioning.
Yeah, I'm still transitioning. Yeah. So that's. I mean, if you step back, and I have gone through a couple different transitions, and kind of the running joke within my, peer group or friends or acquaintances is that when something tends to get stale a little bit, there's a large transition that takes place in my life, and that's. I don't know why, but it's gone from being in a larger public accounting firm with 4 different partners and kind of growing up there, so to speak, then deciding to move to a house in Black Forest that needed a bunch of work, and then we had a kid, and I was
Which is a town near Colorado Springs.
Yeah. For
our non-Colorado listeners.
So we made that transition. I was like, okay, let's transition away from this job, let's move, and then at the same time, start my own public accounting firm. What's better, right? Not have a job, just move to a new city, start a new firm, and then wait, let's have a kid. And so that's kind of how it started. Created my firm, merged it with another firm, and now that firm just merged with WCG. So it's happened multiple times, and each one is unique. Each one has its own advantages and disadvantages. But the one thing I can say about merging with WCG is just, man, if you could pinpoint a reason to transition or move, it is for the unifying camaraderie and working towards a common goal. That's why sole practitioners do this. Yeah. They just can't do it on their own.
Right.
And you get to a point to where enough's enough. You either have to recreate the wheel by yourself constantly, or you find a mutual benefit, and we've been looking at that mutual benefit for a while now. Yeah. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were dirt bike riding buddies.
Yeah,
who had a beer drinking problem, or maybe it was a beer drinking team.
One of the
dirt bike riding problem. Yeah, but no, we've been trying to put this together for a while, you and I. And no, that's exactly it. We for WCG, it was just my wife and I, Tina, for a long time, and now we keep adding more and more leadership, qualified individuals, people that want to take this firm away from me in a lot of ways and take and to make it their own and to move on. It's awesome. So, Megan. Similar story a little bit.
There's some commonalities there. Actually, it's kind of interesting when you talk about all this change. I did a similar thing. I started my career in a very traditional firm, got my license there, small town Minnesota. So it was like a lot of ag work, a lot of small business, that type of thing. 75-year-old firm, that type of thing. And then jumped to an opportunity at a different firm in South Dakota. We picked up, we had a 2-month-old. Yeah, we had a 2-month-old when we did it, and picked up and moved to South Dakota, started with a firm there. And then when, it just seems like, it's similar. It's like when I started to get, to feel like there was a ceiling, not bored necessarily, but just, man, is every day going to be like this forever? And so then started reaching out, and we talked for a long time. I think it was 6 months between when I accepted an offer and then actually showed up in the office or something. Wow. So, there was a big gap there where we kind of went back and forth and we had these conversations and stuff. But for me, the big driving force was the opportunity for no more ceiling. Right? Like that this position can be whatever I build it into, whatever the firm needs, that I can continue to grow basically forever. and that was the draw.
Yeah.
That hopefully no more
ways to do
plateauing.
that, right? I mean, I immediately said, look, I'm going to try this on my own. Holy cow. Is that a process or what? And then you immediately run into your own limitations.
Yep. And you're touching everything.
I mean, it was a year and a half before I ran into my limitations. I was like, I can't do it all. I can't do it all. And then, looking for that opportunity to grow.
Yeah, and that being, miles wide and inch deep in everything. Because I used to audit. I did retirement plan audits. I did tax work. I did, accounting. I used to do payroll. I mean, I did sales tax filings. It was, literally anything that got brought in the door. Sure. We'll take it.
Yeah,
and
good
so you were,
experience.
Great in terms of understanding how businesses work and what people have on their plates and some of that stuff. But in terms of building a really deep wealth of knowledge, man, miles wide, 2 inches deep.
No, and we definitely are different in that respect, and we'll get that. We'll get to that here in a second. So you two have a lot in common in the sense that you were inserted into a leadership role right away. So you come from some other firm, and all of a sudden people are looking to you who might have been at WCG for a while. And when we look at adding staff, adding to our team, adding those future leaders and all that stuff, we can kind of look at the NFL and say, okay, are we going to draft and develop? Do we take the individual fresh out of college and really mold them into what we need, into what they desire and all those things? Or do we go out there into like free agency, and we get people like Megan and Jason, So when you guys have worked elsewhere and you're kind of comfortable, everyone knows you and you know them and the process and the procedures and all that, and then you're inserted into a leadership role at a new firm, I would suspect that was challenging in itself. Same tax software, that helps, but that's kind of where it ended.
Yeah.
So can you speak to that a little bit about being inserted into a leadership role?
Yeah, so two different directions here. One is being inserted into a leadership role. The other is being inserted into a leadership role where you're immediately doubling in size.
That's true.
Okay.
So for our home listeners, we had talked for 5 years, riding dirt bikes and doing all that stuff, and we were going to put this together. And then the firm that you were at contacted us and said, hey, do you want to merge with the firm that Jason used to manage and run? And of course we said, let's look at it, and we did. And so for those listening, not fully understanding our history, we blended two firms at the same time that you came on. So yes, inserted into a leadership role with this thing that came with you.
Yeah. And two different cultural environments.
Oh yeah.
Immediately.
Yep.
Some of this was known, right? But what was the unknown was how everything was going to come together in the end. You can make some assumptions, but you just had to work through it.
Yep. So time was going to tell us.
Time was going to tell. And I think that being inserted into a leadership role with WCG at the same time as having long-standing employees and relationships here, right? That's always going to cause, not necessarily like turmoil or anything, but just a different type of struggle, overcoming, a different type of situation to overcome.
A disruption, a potential distraction.
Yeah, sure. And while merging in the other firm, everything was supposed to be normal, right? Like, we've been doing this together for 5 or 6 years, just keep on keeping on. And that's kind of where the difficulty came in merging with WCG into a leadership position, because now you have not necessarily competing interests, but you have conflicting interests, right? Things are changing no matter what. And then immediately kind of having to work through all of those scenarios in coordination with learning new roles and duties and the environment in general.
Yeah, because yours was somewhat unique in the sense that, you were a leader at this other firm, and now you're expected to be a leader at a new firm, legacy WCG, if you will. So you're kind of playing both roles on some levels.
Yeah.
It might have been, honestly easier to not have to, to play both roles.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Megan? You were inserted as a tax manager. And describe the position of a tax manager. I believe WCG expects a lot out of a tax manager. We give you a lot of latitude.
That is true.
A lot of autonomy.
I think you said this a few months ago. You're like, I think we treat you like mini partners.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we very much have our own book of business
Yep.
that I'm responsible for these clients. I have staff to help me. I have, partners to assist, of course. But at the end of the day, those are my clients, and I have to be the owner, you know? And then, so stepping into that role, so all those same, challenges, hi, I'm new and also in charge with staff. So, just that transition. But also I started about a week after the SaaS transition too. So not only was I trying to get in there, learn culture, meet new staff, the whole deal, they were all meeting each other. And there were two cultures to have to navigate. So it was really it was an interesting startup, to get off the ground and kind of get my feet under me.
Yeah. And the cultural differences, just to kind of help others who are listening to us, was Summit SaaS, Summit Accounting Solutions, was plugged into a wealth advisory company, and they just have a different perspective. Just different.
I call it much more traditional, straight up CPA firm work.
Okay.
Is, I think, generally the vibe. Anyway.
Yeah. So here we are.
Stigma, right? You walk into our traditional CPA firm office, and you can hear the music going, and you just kind of wander around, and there's a couch, and hello, come back here to this room, and let's talk tax.
Everything's wood paneled, and yeah.
No, for sure. In a lot of ways, WCG has attempted to buck the trend for traditional CPA firms, and we can talk about that here in a little bit as well. So, Jason, we've been working on joining forces for 5 years, for a long time. Ultimately, what caused you to say yes? Let's make this happen.
Working with individuals towards a common goal.
Okay. Yeah, you said that earlier. That's awesome.
That's it. Working with like-minded individuals towards a common goal. Mm-hmm. And you can dive into that. I mean, you can get super deep into like-minded individuals and common goals. But you just need a base to have that friendship with, have that partnership, have that camaraderie with, have a unique understanding of our specific tax world and what we communicate about, the dialogue we have, how we treat clients. All of that stuff is just so important to be going in the same direction. You have one misfire, and it just kind of sets the entire course on a different trajectory, right? And that's why firms do what they do. And I'll go back to that initial firm that I was a staff at. There's 4 partners, and they were all great, but they all had unique skill sets. And I kid you not, each one was operating a different firm within the firm.
Yeah, that's hard.
And
so different boats, different directions, rolling different speeds.
Different competencies that they were specializing in, and you're that staff, and you're like, trying to do this, and then do this, and then do this in different ways and procedures, and holy cow, and then I saw that explode.
Right? In a bad way?
In a bad way. Yeah, they actually came in and put a wall up in between a couple different offices just to wait for the lease to be done so they could separate and part ways.
Oh, wow.
Super awkward. So that's probably stuck with me my entire career.
Right, so regression.
Of what not to do. It was that. And so it's trying to find common individuals, common interests, good trajectory, everyone's rowing in the same direction. That's probably cemented in the back of my mind to some degree of what needs to take place to make this successful.
Yeah, no, and that's a huge deal. I mean, you just went on vacation to Florida, had a wonderful time. You were able to disconnect.
Yeah.
Here you are, used to running your own firm, being the leader in a lot of ways, but you're like, look, I can turn my phone off, and I'm not going to come back to a pile of rubble, or in some cases, walls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can feel confident that you have a team of like-minded individuals with common objectives that are going to take care of business while you're not able to.
Yeah.
that's comforting, you know.
There's
Same with you.
There's a system that isn't dependent on any one person.
Yeah.
It operates whether I'm the person or the other tax manager, or the partner, whoever is sitting in the seat, the system still works the same way.
Yeah.
And that is unique to firms. There's a lot of firms out there where it's, I mean, this guy does his book this way, this guy does it this way, you have to do it both ways for both of them.
It is,
yeah.
That's a firm within a firm, which, you know, it's good and bad, you know. And some, I mean, and we can't confuse having your own book or having your own list of people that you help and serve and all that stuff as a firm within a firm. There's subtle differences, and you're absolutely correct. So real quick, because Kelly's given us the wrap it up signal, so we can move on to other parts. But tell us real quick, ultimately, why did you make the change? You mentioned the ceiling before, or you felt acceleration decelerate, if you will.
That was a big chunk of it, but for me, I mean, the deciding factor was, and I had worked for two very traditional firms, both of them, one was like 75 or 80 years old, the other one was 50, 40, whatever. I mean, very entrenched, you know, systems where change took years. And that was the draw for me, is if we have a problem, we will fix it. We won't talk about it for 5 years. We won't, you know, talk about why it won't work or why we can't do anything or why we're stuck the way it is and whatever. That we decide. We decide what the firm looks like. We decide what the clientele, you know, what kind of work we want to do every day. And that was the draw for me.
Cool. And to tease one of the parts that is coming up, because we're wrapping up part one here, to tease some of the parts coming up, we're going to talk about a little bit of our dirty laundry here at WCG and how we're fixing it. Because I think every firm, no matter where you go, is going to have its issues. How you address those issues, how you respond to those issues defines you.
So much of it's systemic. I mean, this is the industry's problems. It's not just ours or firms' problems. It's everybody's. But some firms are really not addressing, and some are.
Yep.
And that was, I wanted to be somewhere where we were.
Yeah, we're certainly addressing. We certainly have a good list.
The boogeyman under the bed, right? You don't ever look.
All right. Well, hey, thanks. We're going to wrap up this part. We're going to get into some other stuff. Again, my name is Jason Watson with WCG, and thanks for listening.